Last week we started a huge build, a bike park-sized whale tail. It's been so much work though that I needed to split it up into 2 weeks worth of content. So if you've landed on this video before part 1, I suggest taking a peek at that first video to get caught up on the build. Starting today, we have our whale tail and our entrance ramp built up. So the items on the list for this week are to top our deck with dirt, make the landing, touch up our run-in, and put the ramp into position. Though there is one small problem with this week. It's hot, like sweltering hot. Like literally 100 degrees in the forecast for the Pacific Northwest hot. It's gonna make the rest of the build harder than the first half, but with enough water breaks, I think we should be fine.
Alright, we're headed to the rack yard to get some fill dirt to top this whale tail and hopefully have enough to do the landing as well. It's a little too dry out to really dig in the ground. Where I usually pull dirt from is like rock hard right now, and it doesn't really want to pack well because it's all dust in other spots. So it's going to save me time and body aches to just go grab some dirt. So we're going to go do that really quick. Should probably get some play chips. Play chips.
Before we start shoveling dirt under the whale tail though, I'm gonna put a thick coat of waterproof deck sealer just to make sure these boards are in good shape for a long time to come. After all the digging, log hauling, scratchy sawdust, and drilling, painting this stain on was pretty calming. I could have kept doing this all day. With our deck ready to take on a fresh coat of soil, it's time to pull the shovel back out. So, I've had a few of you ask, why did I want to cover half of a wood feature in dirt? Well, why not? I've always been a fan of mixed media artwork, so consider this a mixed media bike feature. Secondly, it's part laziness. Seeing the frame wasn't dimensional lumber, it would have taken a ton of shaving with my chainsaw and shimming to get this thing perfectly flat. This way, we just cover up those imperfections with a rake. It also makes our exit transition much smoother, saving time from having to frame this transition in. Plus, I kind of prefer riding on dirt over wood, which is just a personal preference. I made sure to add enough dirt so if you have to change direction while up on the table, your tire will dig in rather than slide out. We'll water this portion down to get a good pack, but it'll be the only portion for this project. With it being so dry out, it's easy to run our well low. So after this, we'll be saving the water for more important things.
3, 2, 1.
No.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, God. Okay, give me in the face. That's where it's hot.
In the face?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's nice.
Dance around. Like spin with your arms up.
No. Oh, that feels so good though.
I know, it really does.
It is so hot out. Next, we're moving on to our landing. For this, I wanted to try out some old school framing and sheeting work. The plan is to make an 8-foot by 8-foot elevated box for a majority of the landing, then creating a transition at the bottom with some fill and some dirt. Instead of making the frame first and then applying the sheeting on top afterwards, I decided to build the frame onto the sheeting, which makes it easier for me to keep things square. And we're going back to some basic tools to help with this part of the build. First up is an extremely handy tool I think everyone should have, and it's called the chalk box. This is simply a little box filled with some string and, you guessed it, some chalk. Instead of needing a huge straight edge to draw long straight lines, we'll measure 2 endpoints, pull our string taut, and with a nice little snap, we have a straight line that'll let us know where to do our drilling in order to hit the stud on the other side of our sheeting. The other tool is quite obvious, but there's one thing about a traditional handsaw I thought I'd share because it's pretty easy to overlook. Most saws like this have a built-in square edge in the handle with a 90-degree and a 45-degree angle. For quick cuts, you can flip this thing over, make your mark, and do your best to cut a straight line with a handsaw, which we all know never goes well. With this platform all framed up and super sturdy, we just need to give it some feet to stand on. To do that, I need to flip it over and put it in place, but this thing isn't the easiest to handle alone.
Stop rolling.
I have a ton of leftover posts to dig through, which will be more than enough to support the weight of our landing and repeated hits from a rider. We'll mock it up with some 2x4s first, just to make sure we're level, and using our marker, we'll draw where our cuts need to go. Using the saw and one big whack from our hatchet, we made quick work of notching out our posts. Next, we need a few leg bolts to attach to the sides, and we'll add some cross braces for strength, which means our platform is almost ready to function as our whale tail landing. To complete the landing, we'll finish the transition by using a bunch of leftovers from the build to act as fill, and then using Biscuit and his cart, we'll grab some dirt that has been piled up since our adjustable drop build. It's not quite the amount of dirt that I was hoping to add to the bottom here, but it'll have to do for now. We'll polish off this transition in the fall after we get a little bit of rain, but for the time being, this landing is fully functional. Up at the entrance to Moby's deck, we can only do so much right now since it's so dry out. But what definitely does need to go is this micro log drop. It was a good thought, but it just didn't really work out. I want to be able to carry enough speed to hit our steep ramp, and all the extra little obstacles in the middle of this turn makes an already jam-packed jump trail just a little bit too busy.
I knew it was going to be, it's just too dry right now to do any kind of dirt work. And I don't want to bring the hose up here and just start soaking everything because we've been having slight issues with our well running low, so I'm not really I'd rather drink the water rather than soak bike jumps with it. I mean, priorities, I guess. But what we can do is at least tame out this section, the lip that enters into that corner, and try to at least make it kind of a roller thing for now. So in the future, we'll have to mess with this whole section, but I think we should be able to at least get it running well enough to get up onto the whale tail.
And I saved the easiest for last, which is to set our ramp in place. The ground that it's setting on just needs a little bit of leveling and the ramp some securing, and we should be able to shred this great brown whale. And finally, Moby's deck is complete. The entrance is poppy enough to practice your dirt jump style lips, wide enough to pick different lines, and the end is smooth enough to make you grin so hard it hurts.
That landing is pretty easy.
Did you make it too easy?
No, I made it just right.
I think you should do it again.
I will do it again. I'll do it many times.
The thing that I think is coolest about this is how it fills a huge void in our jump line, so we don't have a huge dead spot between our road gap and the crank plank.
That's awesome.
How did that feel?
Felt like a lot of work just got lifted off my shoulders. It runs really well. It's super forgiving, super fun to session. It's not one of those, oh god, I gotta hit it today things. It's hey, let's actually have fun and ride this thing.
I'm already thinking of ways that we can make this thing even more fun, like adding a second ramp with a much bigger gap into the feature. But I think we'll enjoy it just how it is for now. The dirt top gives it a really confident feeling, adding more grip, and the weight of the dirt itself makes it feel more solid underneath your bike. So what do you guys think of Moby's deck? It was a ton of work building a feature this large, but man, am I happy with the way that it turned out. As I get the lines dialed, I definitely want to start scooting the entry ramp back bit by bit. And I'm dead serious about making a second ramp that's a bit of a booter. If you'd like to see bigger and better builds like these, consider joining my Patreon page. It helps make these awesome projects a reality, and I can't thank my supporters enough. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, and to see more trail builds, POV, and other riding related content, click subscribe. Thanks for watching me fight through some mild heat stroke today. It was definitely a fun one. Until next time, everybody, keep that rubber side down.